Well, we talk about bear protection a lot because people are concerned about bears biting them. Go figure. And I'm up in Alaska where there really are bears and they really are big and they really can bite. So on this episode of Ron Spomer Outdoors podcast, we are going to be speaking with a professional, an outfitter guide in Alaska who's been up here for some 12, 15 years. Mm-hmm. He's wrestled a lot of bears. He's got the scars to prove it. And he is going to talk about effective handguns for bear protection. So stay tuned to this episode of Ron Spomer Outdoors podcasts. We have Tim Winslow with us today from Bushwhack, Alaska, a new outfitter up here. Now, you were working for a previous outfitter. Now, you actually own part of the company?
Yeah, so previously I've been up here, follow the typical Alaskan guide model, which is you're a grunt man slave packer for several years. Then at some point you become human, and then you get a guide license. And then as an assistant, it's an assistant guide license. And then if you continue on that path and you keep doing good, stay out of trouble, you can then get a registered guide license, which then is also considered an outfitter license. Got my outfitter's license and then started outfitting here. Mm-hmm. And then as one thing leads to another in this industry, like, you know, Ron, you meet a lot of cool people that want to do a lot of the cool same things that you do. And so that's how I ended up here. So I've been outfitting for 6 or 7 years. I've been guiding for about 14 or 15. And yeah, here's where we're at.
All right. Now, that's the important part, is the guiding for that many years. Now, you are in the heart of grizzly, brown bear country, black bears. You've got them all, right?
Yep.
And I understand that the area that we are going to be hunting has got a heck of a population.
Yes.
Maybe too many?
Yes. So in this area specifically, it's under a management system where, unlike the lower 48, they want to, and they meaning the wildlife biologists who've done all the research, they're really concerned with the caribou and moose population. And the caribou and moose population depend on calves' survival. Mm-hmm. Well, grizzly bears, black bears, wolves, they like the easy ones. They don't chase after the adults. That's a lot of the misconception. They go after the easy pickings, the baby in a basket, whatever you want to call it. That's what they go after. So what we're trying to do here in Alaska is increase the caribou population and the moose population, mm-hmm. by knocking down the grizzly bear population. Mm-hmm. And within that, it kind of takes care of itself. So you just want that caribou population to grow. And naturally, when the caribou population grows and the moose population grow, the grizzly bears will also grow. But right now, the ratio is just off. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're trying to balance it a little bit. Trying to balance it because, to give you a brief history, this area used to be one of the biggest caribou herds in the world.
Oh, I remember it.
And now it's since been decimated, mm-hmm. by various reasons, some unexplained, some hoof rot, some eating themselves out of their own habitat. A lot of this kind of thing is happening. Well, when that boom happened, the predators happened. And they
respond to the prey base.
Exactly.
If you got all those calves hitting the ground every spring, why wouldn't the bears eat them? And when the bears eat them, the bears thrive and they have more cubs, and the population grows and grows until it flips. Mm-hmm. Suddenly you have more predators than you do prey. Somebody has to bite the bullet, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now, because you have so many bears up here, are you getting more interactions with fishermen and berry pickers and just backpackers and stuff? I mean, you need to protect yourself from an aggressive bear, right?
Yes. You have to be prepared.
Okay.
And if you're in bear country in Alaska, you have to be prepared. Bears are not out looking for a fight typically, but they are the alpha predator. They are the alpha mm-hmm. animal. And so when they decide to take over a berry patch, when they decide to take over a fishing hole, it's theirs. And if you're there and you're an unsuspecting fisherman or berry picker, you have to be ready for it. It's the mentality that bears have because they're not a prey animal.
Yeah.
They are a dominant animal.
Sure.
That are, especially the big ones, are not, they're king of the forest.
Yeah. Now, one of the arguments I get, especially from folks who really don't leave town very often, or anti-hunters, was pretty obvious what they're going to say. Just don't go into bear habitat. You don't have any business to be there. But come on. The whole country used to be bear habitat.
Right.
Los Angeles used to have bears. Yeah. San Francisco certainly had grizzly bears. You don't see them introducing any to the streets of San Francisco.
They might think about it too.
They might. Don't give them any ideas. But the upshot is, guys, if you're up here camping, backpacking, photography, whatever, people live in Alaska, mm-hmm. and people recreate up here. It's a big deal. So The first question then is going to pop up is, okay, if you're going to be in bear country, why not just use the infamous bear spray?
I like my food salted and peppered. Bears don't really respond to pepper spray, bear spray, whatever it is, like we think they should.
Yeah.
Okay? There are several variables that come in with bear spray, and I'm not anti-bear spray, but when you're in a situation where your life is on the line, you may not be able to control the 40-mile-an-hour wind blowing right in your face. So when you deploy the bear spray, you are now bear spraying yourself.
So you just sort of seasoned the meal.
You just seasoned the meal, and some of them like spicy food.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thing. So it's one of those things, Ron, where you can't control the variables.
Yeah.
Bear spray is a great deterrent, but if push comes to shove, it should be an accessory to the main deterrent. I like it as a backup.
I'd like to have it in camp.
Yes.
Hey, there's a bear hanging around. He's starting to get a little too close. Let's be ready for him.
Yeah.
But if you're hiking through the brush or something, you got to go through some alders or some willow, and suddenly there's a surprise engagement, which is usually, it seems like, what's happening with bears. You're going to pull that spray out and depend on it. If, like you said, the wind's wrong, even if it's not blowing in your face, if it's a crosswind, you'll probably miss him.
Yep.
And he'll be on you just like that.
Yep.
And the other side of it is spray first, draw later, might not be a later.
Right.
It happens so quickly.
Right.
I mean, I have never been attacked by a bear, but every account that I hear when it charges, they can cover so much ground so quickly that you've got a chance to maybe apply one thing.
Yeah.
And if it's a handgun or even a rifle or a shotgun, you might get 2 shots off if you're lucky. Because you can't start shooting at them when they're 100 yards away.
No.
That's not an attack.
No.
You've got to be able to prove to the authorities that your life was in danger.
I'm glad you touched on that, because in Alaska, it's what's considered the DLP law, defense of life or property. Now, in order for you to stay within the law of defense or life or property, your life has to be threatened.
Okay.
And according to Alaska law and just general application of that rule, your life is not threatened at 30 yards away from a bear.
It's not?
No.
I'd feel like it was threatened.
And that's a common thing that happens. People ask me all the time, well, when do I shoot a bear? Yeah. Never. You shoot a bear when he's chewing on your leg.
Ooh.
And that's an excessive instruction, but that's all to just instill the point is, if you shoot a bear that is not in your sphere, honestly, within arm's reach,
wow,
there could be a discrepancy and you could be in big trouble by the Alaska Department of Fish and Game.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but that goes back to your bear spray thing.
Yeah.
Because if you have a bear that's kind of lingering and maybe just kind of like in your periphery, making you uncomfortable, well, that's a good time to deploy your secondary option. Hey, we mean business. You're not going to like this smell. But you're not defending life or property at that point. You're just creating a perimeter of, hey, we're here and this is our spot, kind of making a territory.
Got it. Makes perfect sense. Okay. We've established, I think, kind of the parameters here.
Yeah.
Your bear's going to be charging you. He's going to be very close. You better be ready to respond quickly.
Yes.
And a lot of people will say, 12-gauge pump with some Brennickley slugs, really hard slugs. Yeah, that's the best. Who's going to have that slug shotgun ready in that?
Yeah.
You're not going through the brush with this gun in your hands when you're out photographing or when what do you do?
Yeah. Deployment is a key to this scenario. So you touched on it with the bear spray, deployment. So the quicker you can deploy the plan of action, the better. So yes, a shotgun, very few people are going to carry it. It's very sluggish to carry around and it's hard to deploy.
No pun intended on the sluggish.
The sluggish, yeah. The next best option is a handgun. So, well, the first best option, honestly, the slug shotgun is a very strong bear deterrent. You have a lot of force downrange, but it's not easily deployable. Yeah. And if you're not carrying a rifle in your hand, which is, in my opinion, Ron, the best defense when you're hunting is the rifle you're carrying in your hand.
So if you're a big game hunter, you've got a rifle, that's what you want to use.
That is, my opinion, the best bear deterrent because you know how to use it. You've probably practiced how to use it. You know how to operate the bolt or whatever you're using. And at those close distances, you can be ready and you're already in that scenario. And I'm sure as you're hunting in Alaska, you've played that out in your mind already. So first choice rifle that you're carrying. The second scenario is a handgun. So we'll touch on the 2 different scenarios, if you'll let me, Ron, that I believe handguns are important.
Yes, I will absolutely let you.
Okay. let's start with fishing, because this is where I'm very divided in what I believe to be the best bear deterrent. If you are fishing and there is a salmon stream and you've got lots of fish around, you're catching fish, there's people gutting fish, there's lots of scent in the area, human, fish, bears, whatever. The semi-automatic 10 millimeter comes in Glock, SIG is what we use here.
Pull it out and show 'em what we're talking about.
So, and this is unloaded.
Okay.
This is a semi-automatic 10 millimeter. It's got a optic on it that just enhances your sighting.
Mm-hmm.
This is good. This is really, really good in my opinion for fishing.
Okay.
For a couple reasons. You have a lot more ammunition. I think that it holds upwards of 15 plus rounds, depending on what's in the tube or not. Why that's important is when you're fishing is because you're in that in-between scenario a lot. You need to create a defensive perimeter around you that may be too far for bear spray or maybe inappropriate for bear spray, depending on the variables like wind and other people around you. Mm-hmm. There'd be fishermen right next to you. And we had this happen last year with one of our fishing guides. Bear is acting aggressive. He's 30 yards out. He's making his way to you, acting aggressive. That's when you deploy the pistol that has 15 rounds. They don't like the sound of guns. You're not shooting at the bear, but you're shooting in his direction. You're splashing water in his face, letting him know, hey, it's time to stop.
Okay.
You're not trying to hit the bear.
Yep.
You're just creating that buffer zone of like, hey, I'm warning you. Like you're trying to warn me to get away from this pile of fish. I'm going to warn you that, hey, we mean business. We're staying right here.
Okay. So
22 rounds or however many there are. We have guys that like to use the 5.7 even that have 22 rounds in the underneath.
More of a noisemaker than.
And that's what I'm getting at. It is more of a noisemaker. So you're honestly using a lot of it as a noisemaker, which gives you the ability to go. You can spend 5 or 6 rounds warning and still have room in the mag if things escalate to that DLP situation.
Sure.
So that's the big difference between a semi-auto and a revolver. Revolver, you don't have the luxury of sending 5 or 6 down range as a let me warn you, you're getting too close. But in a fishing situation, for 2 reasons I like this. You have the ammunition available and you are often in those positions where you're like, hey, there's bears in the area. And we just need to be aware, and hey, we need to kind of warn that one maybe. Mm-hmm. Where in a hunting scenario, you're typically not. That first scenario is usually like the first time you see a bear. So in fishing, bears are all around you. In hunting, typically, the first time you see a bear, he's probably going to mean business. Up close.
Yeah. If it's a close bear, it's not like he's kind of hanging around thinking he might steal the fish from you. He's bumped into you or you've bumped into him. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be an altercation right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Now what do you want? Ideally.
So that's where my next choice, my first choice as a guide and somebody who has had to defend against grizzly attacks, at 44 mag revolver.
Here we go, folks.
So 44 mag revolver for a couple reasons. This is why I think it's the best option. The first and foremost reason, when you go click, something happens, no matter what. When you pull the trigger, a bullet will fire, unless you're somehow grabbing onto the revolver right there. Then it won't down the cylinder itself. You know the lingo more than I do. Whereas if you're up against a bear, for example, like this, if you've got a bear that's pinning you down and you got to go, and this is unloaded, I already checked it. If you got him up against your face like that, and you got any pressure against the slide, this won't go off.
Fire.
It won't go off. And so, like I said, in a hunting scenario, there's a dead moose on the ground, for example. When blood is in the air, animals change. You can see it with your very kid-friendly dog, your home pet, your Pomeranian. When there's blood on the ground, the animal instincts sometimes override. Yeah. Well, in nature, as the alpha predator, they have an extreme alpha instinct. And so when there's blood on the ground and they want to come eat, they want to defend, maybe they've buried your kill and you've killed the moose and you've gone away to camp and you come back the next day and it's buried and a grizzly bear has claimed that kill. Well, he's going to be ready to defend it. And so typically in that situation, I'm not packing a rifle. My hunters aren't packing a rifle. We're
You've got
meat
your
packing.
packs, you're meat packing, yeah.
We don't have our first line of defense with us because we're packing meat and we don't want to get our rifles all messed up because oftentimes you fall in the dirt and do all this stuff. So what I do is I carry the revolver on my chest with this homemade rig that I have. It's a one-step process to get it off, but the revolver is there specifically when things get serious with brown bears and grizzly bears.
How do you keep it in there?
Okay, so this is like a total rigged up situation. A lot of Alaskan guides have some kind of rigged up. It's stitched inside. I think this is just like a.
So you've got the handle sticking out.
I've got the handle sticking out,
okay.
and I've got a little bit of a Velcro strap just in case. So if things get weird, it's very easy just to pull it right out and point it. And I also have some range with this thing too.
Now, I would imagine that if you are into what you consider to be tight quarters and a bear might pop up, you've got that already out in your hand.
Yeah.
Because you've got a pack on, you don't have anything else in your hands, you better be ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a vulnerability factor too with packing meat, Ron. Is unlike when you're fishing or unlike when you're hunting, you're not as vulnerable. When you're packing meat, you're exhausted, you're not thinking straight, you're hungry, you're tired, you're not paying attention.
Great balance either. You're ready to fall over half the time.
So if you fell over, you're packing a rifle on your shoulder and you fell over and you fall flat on your rifle, you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
You can't get it out. It's stuck on your pack frame. Whereas in a chest rig, you're always going to be able to do that. I mean, in worst case scenario, a grizzly bear is going to jump on your back. He's going to pin you down, either chew on the meat or chew on your head or chew on both. You got to be able to have something to reach around and defend yourself.
I was hoping you'd be behind me to do that damage, and I was hiding under the meat.
That could be a scenario too. I mean, it's always good to have communication in those situations. You just go, Tim, are you covering me? I go, yeah, go ahead.
That's exactly how it'll go down to. I'll be lying on the ground with this 500-pound, 1,000-pound bear on top of me going, get this bear off of me.
Yeah. Exactly. No, that's that, and that's something that could happen.
Oh, don't say that. My wife won't let me come back.
That's okay. You'll come back because you got the right guides with you. Okay, you'll be good.
Take a lot of guides.
Yeah,
don't just
take
get
a lot
one
of
guy.
Numbers rule out there in grizzly.
Well, that's no kidding, because we were up in the Alaska range one time. There were 3 of us hunting together, and we had horses, so we had all the advantages. I saw with 2 cub stands right up in front of us.
Yeah.
Doing, what's this stuff? Both little cubs stood up, and we still yelled and raised all this. She considered us for a while before she ran off. But when you have that much bulk and those numbers, even a sow with cubs at close range like that is not going to defend those cubs against that much of a force. Yeah. So if you've got 2 or 3 young strapping guides with or without their handguns, it just helps to have numbers, security in numbers. So don't go hiking around Alaska all by your lonesome.
Yeah, no, it's an awareness thing too. Because like I said, you could be off doing something else and having more guys with you to be just aware. Like anytime we kill a moose or anything where there's meat on the ground, there's one guy watching, one guy skinning, and one guy doing some periphery work. So that's kind of just it's those safety measures that just, if you instill and practice common sense, 95% of bear encounters are never going to be an issue.
Yeah, I want to go there. Before we do, though, I want to mention that I am in Alaska bear hunting, soon to be bear hunting, and I actually have my Alaska knife.
Let's see it.
By Knives of Alaska.
Oh, that's sweet.
And this is a cool knife because look who's on there.
I recognize that guy.
Not very good looking, but it's my own knife.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, Knives of Alaska will sell you this knife and put your name on it. You get the Ron Spomer Classic Hunter blade. It's Magna Cut steel, which I think is just really top-notch stuff. It's got this synthetic handle, full tang knife like we all want. We know the value of that. It's not going to break on you. You're not going to lose the handle. Good texture. Feel the texture on that guy.
Let's see.
I mean, that is going to stay in your hand. You're not going to get all slippery and stuff and lose that. I love it. Now, for sticking a bear, you might want that thing 6 times longer, but then where would you carry it? But once you've got him down, I think you're going to skin out pretty nicely with that.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So,
I'm a big fan, and this is not pre-rehearsed at all. I actually love Knives of Alaska.
Do you?
I do. I think they make an awesome product. I really like their Alpha Wolf and some stuff like that.
That is a nice knife.
I love how it feels in your hand. Yeah. I've always been a big fan in secret. I just use a lot of their stuff, and I like what they produce.
Well, I'm not secret about it because they are one of our sponsors, and
That's
we really
awesome.
like their products. I use it on elk and deer and all the usual stuff down below, but
Yeah.
I haven't been up here with them except for one time working on when I first discarded them, I was working on a moose that a friend of mine had shot. So if you folks are looking for a good knife for Alaska or anywhere else, do check out Knives of Alaska. We really think they're good stuff.
And just to touch on that full tank knife, that to me, so you can get away in the lower 48 with having replaceable blades. You can get away with little pocket knives. You can do an elk with whatever you want. You can. I've done it. Here, you have to have a knife that looks like that, period.
Yeah.
To get into the joints of a moose, caribou, black bear, grizzly bear, whatever it is, you have to have a knife that's strong and you can use as a tool and a knife. So all you Avalon and Outdoor Edge people, buy one of these two.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Now, we've got kind of a rough idea here. A lot of people just swear by the 10 millimeter in a autoloader like this.
Yeah.
We've talked about, it's not going to fire.
Yeah.
But we do have volume.
Volume.
So you're recommending this for someone fishing with a bear or in a camp situation where you've got a chance to see the bear. But for hunting with some bloody meat, packing out, coming up on a bear accidentally in thick stuff where you've got to react quickly, you would prefer a revolver.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about chamberings and bullets. Let's start with the autoloader. What are you going to shoot that in? Always a 10 millimeter?
Usually 10, but here's the thing. The best defense is whatever you have first.
Yeah.
So, and Phil Shoemaker, we know Phil Shoemaker. If all you have is a 9 millimeter, bring it. If it's better to have a 9 millimeter than a 9 millimeter or just a can of bear spray and a 9 millimeter in the truck.
Yeah.
So always bring what you have if you don't have what I'm saying is the best option. But yes, high velocity, higher chambering. This is a 10 millimeter. They shoot a little bit bigger bullet, and they come in the hard cast format, which is buffalo bore. Buffalo bore is just a common one.
Yeah.
And hard cast meaning they have a flat edge. They're hardened bullets, so you can shoot a bear in the skull and it'll penetrate. Most of the common self-defense handgun rounds aren't designed to penetrate thick bone. They're designed to expand and use for home protection.
Right.
So that's one of the things. Higher velocity, bigger bullet means penetration when it means the most to you.
Does Underwood sound right for that other load?
Yeah, it does. There's a couple like that. Underwood.
Yeah. But the hard cast bullet is the thing, guys. You can crank your velocity up a little bit if you want to. Now, Buffalo Bore does do that. I tested some in a 45 ACP because so many people say that's just not adequate for bears. We got stupendous penetration out of that bullet. Yeah. But he's got those cranked up about 100 feet per second faster than standard stuff, and they recommend for a lot of shooting you put a heavier spring in your.
Yeah, so that's one of the things with the autoloader, not to really push against them, but those bigger bullets with higher velocity with hard cast, they will always work out of a revolver, and you don't have to worry about it. But sometimes, except for the lightweight titanium Scandium revolvers, but you don't want those anyway. You have to be careful shooting volume out of your semi-auto pistol with those hard cast bullets that are going heavier. Faster.
Yeah, the heavier stuff with more pressure. That's the whole thing. So
more pressure is what it is.
Yeah, pressure is the problem you're up against. But okay, so you 10 millimeter, and you might get by with a 9 millimeter if that's all you can handle. Like you say, better to have a 9 millimeter than nothing.
I've carried a 9 millimeter fishing often.
Do you?
Yeah, because it's a noisemaker, like we talked. It's like what's my first priority with it is just to scare bears. But yeah, commonly the 10 millimeter is what's used throughout Alaska for guides and guys that are in serious bear country more often than not.
Okay. So now we're going to jump to your wheel guns.
My wheel gun,
And you can shoot a lot of different options in there. I would say we probably want a bottom line 357 Magnum.
Yeah.
You can get by. That's about like the 10 millimeter in a revolver. They do about the same thing. Again, heavy 4 caliber bullets, hard cast. But now let's step up. Most people are going to say minimum. It's probably more like a 44 Rem mag.
Yeah. So that's what I have here because it's common. You can get it just about anywhere. Lots of options for ammo. And 44 Rem mag is typically a universal bear stopper.
Now you still gonna want your heavy for caliber bullet and you want hard cast.
Yes.
That's kind of universal anymore. So almost no one will argue that.
Right.
Great. So you can control one. What about barrel length? I
Yes.
am of the opinion that I like a shorter barrel because it's all going to happen at you, as you said, arm's length by the time you can start shooting. So I don't need a long barrel. Some guys will say, well, you're not getting your maximum velocity. I don't need my maximum velocity. I need to get a shot into that barrel.
You need one shot. Yeah. So, and I'm glad that you touched on that, because if you see this barrel, you're like, what the heck? Why is it so long? It's because I'm familiar with it. I can use it well. I can wield it well. It also is ported up here. So you can get a couple shots off at one time. It's also, if I was just to say, for somebody that's just going to go out and get, I think 4.5 inch is actually the best way to do it.
Yeah.
For me as a guide, I always think in terms of survival as well. So let's say I'm out packing meat and then something happens. Maybe somebody goes down. Maybe somebody gets hurt. Maybe weather comes in. And all I've got is this. I can still hunt with this.
If you're going to be the survivalist.
Okay, so yeah, you kind of
double duty.
You kind of, so utilitarian is kind of it. And so I'm comfortable with going, okay, I can pull this out of my chest rig and defend myself with a barrel on my back. But when push comes to shove, if I'm in a survival situation as well, I can go hunting with it.
Yeah.
So as a guide, who's somebody who's been stranded out for long times, out in the bush for various reasons, it's just in my mind. You know, it's one of those things. It's just like having a little spare fishing kit. You never know what you're going to come across. And
survival tools. Have it. Yeah.
Or that knife, for example. That's a good one because you can use that in several different forms.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a good point. Let's go back to some more cartridges, though.
Okay.
41 mag is not something that people hear much about anymore, but it's a good viable option. It's not that much narrower diameter than the 44. It's a little easier on a recoil.
Yeah.
If you guys know anything about them, you might want to check into that 41 and look at some of the numbers on it. I think it is probably as viable as the 44.
Yeah.
But you're not going to find as much ammunition. Like you said, you get the 44 standard stuff everywhere. So do consider that. But if you're a hand loader especially, and you can make your own, I think you can doctor that up and be just as effective with it. And then there are a few others out there like the 480 Ruger.
Yep.
And a few of the big bores. But look at the numbers. 454 Casull is probably the most popular one after the 44 Rem Mag. If you can handle the recoil on it. We had a gentleman from up here who preferred that.
Yeah.
And I shot it a few times, and it's the most I really wanted to handle. I shot 500 Smiths and 460 Smiths and all. To me, those are too powerful for quick action.
Right.
Big, heavy things. You don't want to carry them in the first place. They're a little more difficult to whip into action quickly and all. Had a friend that had a really customized 2 3/4 inch barrel in a 480 Ruger.
Yeah.
But that thing was quick.
Yeah.
I mean, you're carrying a pretty small, and I think it was only a 5-shot. Another argument is, you've got so few shots with these things. Again, this is happening at arm's length, maybe 10 yards at the most.
Yeah.
And how many shots are you going to get off?
Right.
And you talked about having this thing ported. Some guys might not be familiar with what the ports are doing. So you've got ports on the top of the barrel here. What does that tell you? Your gases are going up to counter the recoil.
Yeah, it keeps
your muzzle wants to flip up. It helps control it. So you can stay on that bear for 2 shots, maybe even 3 if you're quick enough. So you are shooting double action, right?
Yep. You mentioned 41 mag, and I'm familiar with that cartridge as well. And I think it's a great option if you can find the ammo. Part of the reason why I didn't use it very often is because it came in the older style single action revolvers.
Okay.
Which they're not as comfortable in your hand, and they're with single action, it doesn't fire if you pull the trigger. You have to physically load it and cock it back.
Cock it every time.
So that's one of the things to be on the lookout for if you're looking at a revolver is in a survival situation, in a bear defense situation, always have double action. You're not going to shoot groups with a double action, but it will go off when you pull the trigger.
Yeah, and your group needs to be about this. Yeah. There's your bear right in front of you. There's your group size. Okay. Now, what about real world experiences? You say you've been up here guiding in bear country for a good 12 to 14 years or so. Do you have any close encounters of the hairy kind?
Yeah. So often what I do, I'm guide minded. So I'm a guide first and a hunter second. So it's my job to put myself in a position to kind of bridge that gap between danger and the hunter. That's the job.
Secret Service.
Essentially, it is. Yeah,
Throw your body in front of the president.
Yeah, you're actually on a sniper mission, and I'm Secret Service for you as a sniper.
Woo-hoo!
So I've had a couple encounters that have formed my opinion on these things. So my opinion is not based on some forum or what I think performs best on paper or however I can conjure it up in my head. I've been in situations where things got a little sketchy. So one of those situations, you mentioned a sow with cubs. And I was on a hunt where there was a big boar, and he had just eaten the sow's cubs.
Oh boy.
They got in a big fight.
Ooh.
And which happens, a lot of people don't understand that. It happens with lions too in Africa,
Yeah.
Same thing. So when the rut comes around, a sow that has cubs, to give a quick little biological lesson, a sow with cubs, if a boar comes by and eats those cubs, the sow will go then right back into estrus and be able to breed again with that boar. So naturally, there's a tension there. Any sow with cubs needs to get the heck away from any boar, especially a dominant boar. That boar just ate her cubs. She was pretty messed up. They had fought real hard, but that boar was still on his mission. He was dogging her, following her, and like, hey, your cubs are down. Now it's my turn. We got on him. We saw him. We're like, hey, this is a big bear. She's big. He's bigger. And they just happened to be using the same trail, and we kind of cut him off. So we found him using this trail. When she walked by us at 10 yards, she was snarling and breaking branches, making all this noise, just mad, really mad. We're like, oh, she's not in a good mood. The boar, which was following her about 100 yards behind, she was quicker than him for obvious reasons. She didn't want anything to do with the bear that just killed her offspring. She went out of view in this thick brush, and I'm with my hunter, and he's like right like with you, and his gun is pointed there. I'm like, he is gonna walk on her footsteps. Be ready. And I'm next to him, and then we had my buddy and the guy's wife right behind us. Didn't have a weapon, just rifle, and then my hunter had a rifle. After she was snarling it and got out of view, everything went quiet. Everything, like, you didn't hear her anymore. And we were on this main trail. And I turn around to my buddy and I go, hey, watch my 6. I just had a feeling. And all of a sudden, if you've ever seen Jurassic Park, you could feel it in the tundra. The wind was going right in her direction. You could feel her coming at us.
She came back
into the wind. She smelled us,
running away,
and she came full tilt right at us.
Whoa.
You could feel it because the tundra's kind of squishy. I look out of the corner of my eye. I see her coming full blast. My buddy jumps up, gives a wave, try to stop her. The hunter's wife screams bloody murder for natural reasons. I then grab my hunter. I swing my 375 Ruger around. Okay. But again, that's a DLP situation, which I do not want to get into, period. I go, grab him. I swing him around to his rifle. As she's coming towards us, I go, shoot. In a little bit higher tone, and maybe use the different language. And he goes, just naturally, he's right here. Again, the wife and my buddy are right behind us. He puts one right in her rib cage, and then we just let her have it at point blank. I mean,
she's still coming.
Yeah, she's still coming. She's still coming.
What was the first shot with?
It was a 338 Win Mag.
250 grain bullet?
Yeah, 250 grain
Good
core
bullet?
lock. Yeah, it was a 250 grain core lock bullet, which is a common selection. I mean, you don't have a lot of options in that. A typical round people use. I can't control every rifle that comes in your hands, in the hunter's hands. But what I can control is that. So I was in a situation where I was able to get my hunter in a position to essentially defend himself, but also fill his tag because we were bear hunting.
Yeah.
And then we got up to this bear, and she was an absolute giant. And we go,
she was a giant?
And the boar was like double her size. And we're like, how big was that boar?
Oh my.
So then it became a situation where I then had to kind of get in there and make sure that boar wasn't going to follow us and do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And he kind of snuck out, and he didn't want any part of it. But that's a scenario where I first mentioned your rifle as a hunter is your first line of defense.
Yeah.
So if he wasn't going to be able to shoot, because you have a clock in your head with your hunter as a guide, you go, okay, now. You have a point of no return where you go, if I don't hear the gun go off, I'm pulling the trigger at 3, 2, 1. You know, it's that. There is a very conscious, and same with the reload. If I don't hear reload, like consciously, you're like 3, 2, 1, reload, and I got to start shooting. So it didn't come to defense of life or property, but that was a situation where it definitely could have.
Wow.
It was just one scenario.
What was the first shot distance?
8 yards.
How many?
8 yards. Probably.
8 yards.
So
That
a couple
was the
leaps.
first shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of time because, like I said, it was like Jurassic Park. You know the water scene where you see the water running?
Yeah.
You could feel it coming. So we had a little bit of a warning.
Wow.
And there's several situations that I've been in where there's meat and grizzly bears are not happy. Mm-hmm. And we have just done our best to make ourselves very visible and never take it to a fatal extreme where we actually have to kill a bear, because that's a misconception. The last thing that I want to do is kill a bear defending a hunter's meat or life and property. You have to do everything else to avoid that. And using road flares or things like that, and any different thing can work, bear spray. But situations.
So if you're out and moose hunting, you've got a moose down, you take your first load back to camp, you've got to come back the next day for more, and you hope that grizzly hasn't found it because he's going to have covered it up. You could be sleeping on it or close to it. You obviously try to come in with the wind in your favor. Do you make noise, or you try to glass the area first to assess whether there is a bear on it? Yeah,
so it's twofold. So if it's an area where it is glassable, you glass it.
Okay.
You will go in loud. You will go in noisy. You will go in with your head on a swivel and hopefully 2 or 3 other people with you, all communicating. Communicating is really important if you're in a group in bear country with a loaded weapon.
Yeah.
Communication is very important. And from hunting Africa, as much as you have the ability for the guy with the guns to be way more dangerous than the lion, the leopard, the Cape buffalo. Yeah. So communication and knowing where everybody's barrel is pointing, what's in the chamber, and what their job is. Because some guys like, okay, you have 45 from here. Righty and lefty is a good scenario where you're like, okay, the righty is naturally going to want to guard that. Yeah, and where the lefty, he's naturally going to want to be like this. So you kind of do that, or where the bear's laying.
And the ambidextrous guy is right in the middle.
The ambidextrous guy is right in the middle. Yeah, so he can swing either way. But it's more of every situation is different in bear country. Where the moose dies and what you have to do to make yourself safe. And we have a pretty good protocol on just the first steps of common sense. Where we hang the meat, where we may put it in separate locations. We hang the meat one place and we leave the hide and skull somewhere else. Yeah. Or we usually what we do is we'll leave the hide and skull to the very, very end. And as kind of like if they get into the hide and skull, like whatever, we'll get another hide. They're not going to chew the antlers off. We don't want them to get the meat. So we kind of leave a little bit of a buffer where we hang the meat separate from the hide and skull.
Yeah, but on this tundra country where we're going, there's no hanging. There's no trees high enough to hang anything. You just have to far apart. Yeah. And a bear's going to smell that dead meat from what, a mile away or more?
Yeah, a mile away or more.
So you're not going to keep him off of it if he's going by. So you just need to spread it out. So he grabs, say, 1 quarter, and you've got another quarter 200 yards away. You can't run back and forth and guard both of them.
No, exactly.
So you save something.
You can isolate them out. Yeah. I've had a situation where I had a big boar charging me, and I let him take the kill. The kill was another brown bear. I've had several situations like that. And Gary, who's guiding you, he was on that mission with me, actually after the fact, where I had a big brown bear my hunter just had killed, and I was in there skinning it out, and I had them watching in the perimeter because I go, there's bears in this country. They're watching, and they go, hey, school bus is coming. It was a bear we nicknamed School Bus because he was so big, and he just didn't make a mistake, and we just couldn't make it happen with him. But he smelled that blood for, I would say, a mile away. Wow. And there was still snow on the ground. He came down an avalanche chute like he was skiing. And I'm looking up and I'm skinning like this.
Skiing fast.
And they're yelling, he's coming. And I'm like, I just have to get this hide skinned out because I was really like focused on the hide. And we were right up against a patch of alders and these guys were freaking out.
So you're trying to get him skinned before the school bus gets there?
I was literally like eyes up on the mountain, okay, I've got like 40 seconds and I'm working my way. Finally, I'm like, all right, I'm out. And one of the situations was I had a guy that was fumbling around with a semi-auto pistol, just like walking backwards, which is common, like in those situations, because you just don't know what to do. And it's keeping control and communicating, which is the most effective. So I said, turn and walk straight into the brush and go. No messing around, turn and go. And we all did that. The bear was after one thing, and that was the other bear. And that's the scenario is if a bear is after salmon, he's after salmon. Mm-hmm. And that bear smelled that blood. He was hungry. He was after that bear. To finish that story, I let him claim it, but I wasn't done. I let him have the first victory, but the second victory was ours. So I went back in the next morning after the client was freaked out. He thought he was gonna die and he'd get chewed apart. And after he was safe in his tent, I make a satellite call back to base camp and I go, hey, I need Gary. We got a little mission on our hands. So we need to get our bear back. And the hunter was like, yeah, it's okay. I'm like, no. We're getting your bear back. We are getting
So you had left the hide out there?
Left the hide skull. It was a carcass. And we had tagged it and left it there and it was all good. But the bear was on it. We go back the next day. The next morning. It was a huge snow mound. The bear, because it was in a pile of snow. He had covered it up. And he was laying on it in a food coma like that.
Oh,
like this, just falls asleep. Giant bear. Me and Gary look at each other. I mean, there's a wall of brush and there's a little patch of snow where he had buried and made a huge snow pile. And me and Gary both went in. Same thing. We had our rifles. We didn't have pistols. This is your best line of defense is your rifle. So we both had our 375s. Had a plan. I go, hey, let's go in. Let's make a lot of noise. Let him know we're here. Let him know that that's our bear. And that's what we did. And he cordially left. We spooked him up.
So by then he was so full.
He was so full.
Reason to fight.
He didn't want any trouble.
Interesting.
And that little bit of skinning I did allowed for him to have a snack on the hind quarter. The hide was untouched.
How much of the hide did you actually have off the bear?
I had it peeled around to where it's at that point where then you flip it over and finish off all the back. So I had all his the hind quarters were exposed on the bear, which is a good one. And then kind of all around. So I had it almost to where I could skin it all the way out. Mm-hmm. So he got to have a nice hind quarter meal, feed, huh? Buried it, had a food coma. And me and Gary felt like we were pretty cool because we were just like, get out of here. And he's just like, all right. But another situation where it's just like, hey, we're using common sense and we're going there with rifles with a plan. I knew the situation with that bear and the hide and everything like that. So we were able to recover the hide and skull, and Hunter, we didn't skip a beat. It was, it's in his house somewhere standing up and at some awesome mount in his office or something. So it was a cool situation.
Yeah, cool. Now, when you were up here, I noticed your family was around. You young man with families. A lot of folks come up here, and we were having dinner in town yesterday. All these young folks with their kids. Obviously, they're going to see Alaska. They're going to be out camping and maybe paddling in some rivers. They're going to bump into bears and stuff. I wonder how many of them are ready to protect themselves. Yeah. When you're out, you always carry a handgun for protection?
Yeah. If I'm with my family and we're in a situation where there's a lot of salmon around, a lot of bears around, I will have a handgun. Mm-hmm. If I'm by myself, typically not, because I have been around it enough. And I'm not saying I am cavalier about it, but I judge every situation a little different. If you have a family, the biggest way to avoid anything is just using common sense. Understanding the motivation of these bears is really important. So you're in a salmon stream, you're catching fish. The bear is not motivated by eating you. He's motivated by stuffing as much salmon into his mouth so that he hibernates and stays alive 6 months in an ice den. So he's motivated by fish. I've oftentimes been approached by bears with my wife and let him have the fish. Yeah. It's all good. Yeah. Cool. I'll come back and catch more. So it's understanding the motivation. Now, like a dead moose on the ground, blood everywhere.
Pretty obvious motivation.
The motivation is a little bit different and the stakes are a little bit higher. Yeah. Blood is just a little different. Moose blood is different. So it's just understanding that. But I do think that you should have multiple layers of protection: handgun, bear spray, and then just as any kind of communication device as well. Like obviously you need to be able, anytime you're in this kind of country, you need to be able to call for acute help.
Yeah.
or call the Department of Fish and Game. Let them know what's going on. Call if push comes to shove, if somebody gets hurt or somebody's just in danger. Hey, there's a bad bear around here. Give somebody a call.
Yeah,
if you
let
can.
them know what's going on. Good. Well, let me sum this up for folks, and you tell me where I missed anything. I think if you're coming into bear country, bear spray is a good thing to have in camp, have with you. Don't depend on it to stop a charge necessarily. Some folks say it does. It has done that. It can work quite well, but have it around to deter a bear that is acting a little more aggressively than it should. You might be able to get the wind and everything just right, give him a good dose right in the face, and that might solve everything.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you leave him alone, start yelling at him, he starts to get used to the yelling and says, that didn't hurt, and he comes a little closer until you're up against it.
Yeah.
Next line of defense is serious defense. It's you or him. And you want to have not just a gun, not necessarily a howitzer. You have to have a tool that is going to deliver the message in an instant. So it doesn't have to be the biggest handgun in the world or the biggest rifle or shotgun. It has to be one that you can engage that bear with. So a fairly light, handy, something you can get out quickly. Short-barreled handgun. You could take your picks kind of thing, if you want a lot of firepower and you want to be shooting that bear it's kind of like the bear spray in a bullet form. You're spraying the water around the bear, making noise and discouraging him from coming closer. But when there's an actual charge and he's like on you just like that, chances are he might be right up against you and this isn't going to work. So there you want a revolver. That is kind of your most dependable, worst case scenario. That revolver is going to get a shot off. And don't worry too much about getting a 9-shot revolver or a 6-shot revolver. You probably only get 2 or 3 shots off at most anyway, right? Okay. And then if you're hunting, whether it's sheep, caribou, whatever up here, just kind of depend on your rifle to be your first line of defense because you're going to have that thing in your hands. Now, I have often said if you've got a rifle up here and you're sheep hunting, a lot of guys will say, well, go sheep hunting with a .338 or a .416, anything big. Figure that you're defending yourself against the bear first and you're sheep hunting second. Maybe, but I've done a lot of sheep hunting up here, and I've always used 280 AIs or something, but I used a big hard bullet in it. So if you're shooting a hard cast bullet, let's say a Barnes X or a hammer bullet or something like that you know is going to penetrate deep, that's the whole idea with a hard cast bullet in a handgun, deep penetration. So essentially, you've got more power in a .270 Winchester than you do in a handgun. Most people think, these handguns are so big and powerful. You look at the actual numbers, they're not going all that fast. So if you've got a typical big game hunting rifle in the .270 class and up, you've got just as an effective bear tool as you would with a .454 Casull or anything big like that.
100%. Okay. And you've got a lot more point and aim control.
Yeah, if you got time to use it, like your hunter.
Yeah, just
there, shooting.
Shoot her now. So much more power in just your average Magnum hunting cartridge.
Yeah. The sweet thing about handguns, guys, is their accessibility. You've got to be able to carry it. And if I'm sheep hunting or caribou hunting, yes, I want my rifle. I have my rifle. I'm carrying my rifle. But if I'm up here salmon fishing or trout fishing, I don't want to carry a rifle. Would I carry a fly rod in one hand and a rifle in the other?
You don't want to carry a rifle. You don't want to carry a big, heavy revolver. This is more of your daily carry and daily in bear country.
Now, final thing, where do you carry it?
Chest. Yeah, chest is holster. And for a lot of the reasons, so a chest holster always keeps the accessibility level high. Well, you're saying, what about my hip? I usually, conceal carry my hip. Hips aren't great when you're underwater. When you're wading out, you're fly fishing, you're doing anything like that.
There you go.
You will always be. Or when you fall down, like somebody hits you, a bear gets on top of you. You may not have one, your arm right here, but you can always get something right here if you're not totally disabled.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. So find something that works for you guys. Accessibility. You always want to have it. You don't want to leave it behind because it's too heavy. And that's getting back to that 9mm. That's nobody's idea of the ideal bear stopper. But if you're going to leave your big, heavy 44 Magnum behind because it's just too bulky and it weighs too much and you're tired of carrying it, better to have a 9mm, even a subcompact.
It's better to carry a .380 purse gun than leaving your 44 revolver at home and relying on bear spray. So bring something is better than nothing, and that's how my stance on it as well.
All right. Well, I am going to get a chance to test all of this theory here because we are going to head into the tundra and go bear hunting with our rifles.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to have some backup.
We'll have some backup. Yep.
So we hope that you all enjoy your time outdoors. Don't be afraid to go into the wilderness because there are bears there. There have been bears around for longer than humans have been around.
Yes.
We've managed to get to this point where we're the dominant predator on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if you're the one who's under the bear when he's chewing on you, it
exactly.
doesn't sound so dominant.
Yeah.
But just be bear aware, as Tim says, and don't go silly willy-nilly into it. And then have several layers of protection if you can carry them, but definitely that last ditch effort is that you want that handy little handgun that's going to be accessible.
100%.
And you can whip it into action. And then whip out your Alaskan knife and
Then
start
you've
skinning.
got the last resort.
Yeah, the last resort.
Yeah.
It's happened a few times, but I wouldn't count on it.
Yeah, it's always good to have something like that. A nice fixed blade.
Tim, really want to
Appreciate you, Ron.
I appreciate it. Bushwhack Alaska is the name of your new outfit.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. This is the lodge we're in here. It is a beauty, and they have a big grizzly bear over there that's done his last mauling. He won't maul no more, but it's a great animal to look at to say, oh my gosh, those things are bigger than I thought they were.
Yep, it's good perspective.
Didn't bring along enough ammunition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Stay tuned for the next episode. Who knows what we're going to come up with next, but I hope it's not somebody who's been bloodied by a bear.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time. Hunt honest and shoot straight.